Good evening on World News Tonight. Bangladesh election. Bangladesh has held its first national election since a student-led uprising last year. Amending constitution. Momentum is building for constitutional reform following the ruling party's historic landslide victory in the lower house snap election. History of love. As we close in on Valentine's, a new free exhibition exploring romance through the ages is opening at the State Library.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Saneshi Dasanayaka.
Good evening, and thank you for joining World News Tonight on Other Than a News channel. Tonight, we begin with updates of the elections held in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has held its first national election since a student-led uprising last year, which brought an end to Sheikh Hasina's 15-year rule. The vote marks a pivotal moment for the country as the voters choose a new government and weigh in on proposed constitutional changes.
Voting has ended across Bangladesh following a historic election shaped by political upheaval and mass protests. The election comes after a 2024 student-led movement forced former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee the country, ending her 15-year tenure in power. As many as 1,400 protesters were killed during the uprising. Hasina has been accused of directly ordering a violent crackdown, allegations she denies. Her party, the Awami League, was banned from contesting the vote. In this election, Bangladeshis were choosing a new government while also participating in a referendum that could bring changes to the country's constitution. The two leading contenders are the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, and the Islamist Party, Jamaat-e-Islami, which has joined forces with the political group formed out of the student protest movement. Since Hasina's departure, an interim government led by Nobel Peace Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus has overseen the country's transition. No official results are expected until Friday. The outcome is set to determine the next chapter for Bangladesh following one of the most turbulent periods in its recent history.
Momentum is building for constitutional reforms following the ruling party's historic landslide victory in the lower house snap election. With a strengthened mandate and expanded majority, party leaders say they are prepared to move forward on a long-debated changes to the constitution.
The Japanese government, led by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, now backed with a two-thirds majority in the lower house of parliament, is set to proceed with constitutional revision. The Liberal Democratic Party, which gained 316 of the 465 seats in the House of Representatives in the February 8th election, has constitutional revision as a party line. In 2018, under then Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the LDP compiled a 4-point draft for amending the Constitution, which proposed clarification of the Self-Defense Forces status in Article 9, creation of an emergency powers clause, dissolving merged prefectural electoral districts in upper house elections, and the improvement of the education system. According to Kyodo News on Wednesday, 403 out of the 465 elected members responded to a pre-election survey sent by the media outlet. Of those, 81.1% backed a revision to Article 9 to clarify the legal status of the self-defense forces, and 83.4% favored adding an emergency clause, giving the government more power in the event of a major disaster or armed attack. Only 9.4% were opposed. A joint survey by the Asahi Shimbun and the University of Tokyo yielded similar results, with 80% of those elected favoring the inclusion of the SDF status. Also, when asked if the current constitution needs changing, an overwhelming 93% of the elected members supported revisions. That's a significant jump from the 67% support rate recorded during the 2024 general election. Opposition, on the other hand, plummeted to 3%, down from 23% in the previous election, while neutral responses stood at just 4%. The Asahi Shimbun noted that this is the first time since they began tracking in 2003 that pro-revisionist sentiment has exceeded 90% in a national election for either the upper or lower house. When the LDP's 316 seats are combined with the 36 seats of its coalition partner, the ruling bloc exceeds the constitutional amendment threshold on its own in the House of Representatives. However, a two-thirds majority is required in both houses of the Diet. In the House of Councillors, the ruling party holds only about 120 seats, short of a majority, with the next upper house elections to be held in 2028.
US President Donald Trump has spoken of historic deals with countries including South Korea and Japan to boost American coal exports.
President Trump said Wednesday local time that his administration had signed historic trade agreements with South Korea, Japan, India, and other countries to dramatically increase coal exports. These remarks came while he was announcing policies at the White House to boost the coal industry. Previously, in July last year, Trump posted on Truth Social that Seoul will purchase $100 billion worth of liquefied natural gas and other energy-producing materials. There was no direct mention of coal at that time, nor a coal export agreement in a joint fact sheet released in November, so it remains unclear if such a deal between Seoul and Washington has been reached or not. While touting it as the most reliable energy resource for almost everyone, he referred to a series of measures to expand the coal-fired power generation industry and signed related executive orders. Included in these were instructions to the Tennessee Valley Authority, a U.S. federal electric utility, to continue operating two major coal plants, Cumberland and Kingston, which had been scheduled for closure. He also ordered the Energy Department to provide funding to keep the coal plants open.
I'm directing the Department of Energy to issue funds to coal plants in West Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina, and Kentucky to keep them online and keep those plants open.
In particular, he directed the Defense Department to secure long-term power purchase agreements with coal plants to ensure a more stable power supply and a stronger, more resilient power grid. He then pointed out that he approved dozens of projects to reopen coal mines to boost the coal industry.
But in 1 year of Trump, we've already approved over 70 permits for very big, very powerful mines that are going to be with us for many, many years to come. And we did that over the last 30 days.
Such moves by President Trump are seen as running counter to the global trend toward phasing out coal and expanding the use of renewable energy.
One person has been injured following a drone attack on the southern Ukrainian city of Odessa. The strike caused damage to infrastructure and residential buildings, sparking fires and prompting emergency crews to respond.
Officials in Odessa say a drone strike hit the city earlier today, injuring one person and damaging key infrastructure. According to the head of the city's military administration, the attack struck an apartment building where a fire broke out on an upper floor. Flames were also reported at an industrial site and at one of the city's markets where pavilions were engulfed. A nearby supermarket building sustained damage. Video released by Ukraine's State Emergency Service shows rescuers working through debris at a damaged industrial facility and an apartment block as firefighters battled flames and searched the scene. The attack also damaged an electrical substation in the Odessa region, according to the country's largest private energy company, raising concerns about potential power disruptions. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched a large-scale overnight assault, firing 24 ballistic missiles, 1 cruise missile, and 219 drones across the country. Air defense units reportedly shot down or neutralized 16 missiles and 197 drones. Officials say Kyiv, Kharkiv, Dnipro, and Odessa were among the primary targets. The latest strikes underscore the continued intensity of aerial attacks as the conflict stretches on, with emergency crews once again racing to contain damage and assist civilians caught in the crossfire.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news on the other side. Welcome back. Police say an 18-year-old carried out a deadly school shooting in British Columbia yesterday, killing 9 people. Authorities say the suspect had a history of mental health issues as the country mourns one of the worst school tragedies in its history.
Canadian authorities are revealing new details about one of the deadliest school shootings in the country's history. Police say the attacker in Tuesday's massacre in Tumbler Ridge, a remote community in British Columbia, was an 18-year-old transgender woman with a history of mental health struggles. However, investigators have not identified a clear motive, adding that the suspect, Jesse Van Rooselaar, died by suicide after the attack. Officials also revised the death toll to 9, down from the initially reported 10. According to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on Wednesday, officers had responded to the suspect's family home multiple times over the years over mental health-related concerns.
Police had attended that residence on multiple occasions over the past several years, dealing with concerns of mental health with respect to our suspect. I can say that on different occasions, a suspect was apprehended for assessment and follow-up.
Authorities believe Van Rooselaar began the deadly shooting spree at home, where the bodies of the suspect's 39-year-old mother and 11-year-old stepbrother were found. Police say the shooter then went to a local school and opened fire. A 39-year-old female teacher was killed, along with 5 students, 3 12-year-old girls, and 2 boys aged 12 and 13. The small community has been left in shock as families mourn and officials provide counseling and support services. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung offered condolences to the victims' families and to the Canadian people, saying he hopes the nation can heal and return to daily life. He also expressed support for Canada's leadership as the country grieves. Authorities say the investigation is continuing as they work to piece together the timeline and circumstances behind the attack. Meanwhile, Tumbler Ridge is holding vigils to honor the victims and support those affected by the tragedy.
Herzog praised Victoria's Jewish community as he met with dignitaries and addressed the Southern Bank crowd.
Taking no chances, police form a barrier across City Road to keep protesters away from the visiting Israeli president. This, one of Melbourne's most complex security operations in recent memory, kicking off with Isaac Herzog and Israel's First Lady touching down at Tullamarine. Israeli and private security, along with Victoria Police, keeping close watch from every angle. Mr Herzog's itinerary kept largely secret due to security concerns. Even before his arrival, death threats scrawled at Melbourne University's Parkville campus.
It's contemptible. It's absolutely contemptible.
A planned trip to the Adass synagogue also cancelled last minute. Waiting at Government House, a group of masked protesters forcibly pushed back by police, who invoked special powers to search them. Inside, a warmer welcome, with dignitaries and political figures past and present.
Your Excellency. Thank you.
Then, a convoy through the city, escorting the president to South Bank, where he was welcomed by thousands from across the Jewish community. But got off to an awkward start.
The Honourable Jacinda Allen, it was a pleasure to be with you at lunch, and also with Susan Lee, who was the leader of the opposition leader here. Thank you. It was a pleasure as well. Oh, so it's did I make a mistake in the name?
Highlighting Jewish Australians' resolve in the wake of the Bondi terror attack.
We came to remind you that you are not alone here in the diaspora, and we leave understanding.
Mr Herzog telling the audience he finds it odd the amount of police security he needs while here, and issued a direct message to protesters.
Go protest in front of the Iranian embassy or whichever embassy they have.
And solidarity from the Premier.
Jews in Victoria feel that same responsibility for Jews in Israel.
A message being taken back to Israel tonight as the final leg of a 3-day visit comes to a close.
The 48-year-old American actor has passed away after he had battled with cancer for more than 2 years, leaving behind his wife and 6 children.
He captured teenage hearts on Dawson's Creek.
It's always going to be you and me.
James Van Der Beek shooting to fame at just 20 years old, starring as Dawson Leary, the starry-eyed aspiring filmmaker, and nice guy in the coming-of-age drama from the late 90s to early 2000s. The father of 6, diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2023, later making his battle public.
I think I just went into shock.
His unwavering optimism as recent as December.
I knew I was strong. I didn't know I was this strong. You're going to make changes in your life that you would never, ever make if you didn't have this extreme of a diagnosis.
Last month, the 48-year-old posted this.
I'm going to take the winter to recover, to rest, and I'm going to make New Year's resolutions in the spring.
His wife Kimberly this morning breaking the news in an Instagram post, writing he met his final days with courage, faith and grace. His close longtime friend Stacey Keebler sharing a photo from his final days, spending time with those he loved. Tributes also from his Dawson's Creek co-stars. Kerr Smith writing, I'm so grateful for being able to call James a brother. From Chad Michael Murray, James was a giant, inspired us to be better in all ways. And Busy Phillips, he was 1 in a billion. The Varsity Blues star's cancer battle leaving his family financially strained. Within just hours, a GoFundMe raising more than $1 million.
I guess I just have to say thank you.
U.S. lawmakers accused Attorney General Pam Bondi of concealing the names of powerful associates of the Jeffrey Epstein as she faced questions in a charged hearing before a House of Representatives panel.
No, can I finish my answer? You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you do. You're the Attorney General of the United States.
We're obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome.
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi sparred with members of the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday as she faced questions over the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did.
Republican Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky accused the Justice Department of a massive failure to comply with the law, questioning why the names of some Epstein survivors were released, while billionaire Leslie Wexner's name was redacted in an FBI document.
Les Wexner is in this. Now, your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking.
Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Wexner, a former CEO and founder of Victoria's Secret owner L Brands, has denied knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities and has not been accused of criminal wrongdoing. The Justice Department released what it called the final cache of more than 3 million pages of documents late last month. It drew renewed attention to wealthy and powerful individuals who maintained ties with Epstein, even after his conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Lawmakers have complained that redactions in the files appear to go beyond the limited exemptions allowed in a law Congress passed nearly unanimously in November. The department has also declined to publish a large volume of material, citing legal privileges. Bondi said more than 500 Justice Department lawyers worked on a compressed timeline to review reams of material.
And if you brought us a victim's name that was inadvertently released, we immediately redacted it.
In her opening statement, she said any disclosure of victims' identities was inadvertent.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand.
Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal from Washington asked Bondi to apologize to survivors of Epstein's alleged crimes for the department's rollout of the files. Instead, Bondi asked why the same question was not asked of her predecessor under Democratic President Joe Biden's administration.
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Restore her time. The witness is interrupted.
I'm not going to get in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing theatrics.
and let me have...
The head of one of Myanmar's influential ethnic armies accused world leaders of ignoring junta's escalating deadly airstrikes on civilians, saying that only China has stepped in to address the conflict.
The head of one of Myanmar's influential ethnic armies has accused world leaders of ignoring the ruling military junta's surge in deadly airstrikes on civilians. General Yaw Sek, chair of the Restoration Council of Shan State, said that his group no longer knows who it can rely on. In
Myanmar, human rights have been violated since we got our independence. Even until today, the civilians are suffering, and I want the international community not to ignore it.
เขาเนี่ยนั่งอยู่ในกวนเมืองเขาเนี่ยและอยู่ในตุกข้าวไปอันนี้แค่กำพร้าอย่าไปปล่อยทิ้งกัน
The fact that they are using airstrikes in a civil war is against international law, but the international community just lets it happen.
A
spokesperson for the ruling junta did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Myanmar has faced nationwide conflict since a military coup in 2021 toppled the nation's first democratic administration in half a century. Since late 2024, air attacks have killed at least 1,728 civilians, according to figures from Myanmar Peace Monitor. The strikes have slowed the advance of pro-democracy forces that lack an air force. The junta has said it is targeting terrorists. A military-backed party has also claimed victory in January after elections in limited areas, though rights groups have criticized the vote as designed to entrench army power. Yaw Sek said only China is intervening in the conflict, without elaborating any further.
I have not seen any countries putting any pressure. There is one country who intervenes in Myanmar. It is China, and only China. But for now, I have not yet seen any significant pressure.
Speaking after a military parade for Shan National Day, Yaw Sek called for trust building among Myanmar's array of armed factions. He added that political dialogue with the military was still needed to end the war.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. A new free exhibition exploring romance through the ages is opening at the State Library just in time for Valentine's Day. The exhibit takes visitors on a journey through love stories, letters, and traditions from different eras, highlighting how expressions of romance have evolved over time.
Love has always been history's greatest rebel, whether it's forbidden romances or daring declarations.
The lengths that we go to for those that we love, the things that we do, some of them are tragic, some of them are incredibly beautiful.
And the stories of brave hearts have come to life in a new exhibition at the State Library through a collection of rare manuscripts, mixtapes, jewellery and love letters, dating back to the Victorian era.
But also by occupation, they were bushrangers.
From courage to heartbreak, love in all its forms, even in the modern age where communication is instant.
We did a big call out for anonymous donations of important text messages, love letters.
A barred owl is recovering after being found injured on a highway in New York. A state trooper in Broome County spotted the owl and quickly called in all creatures great and small wildlife rehabilitation. He stayed with the bird until rescuers arrived.
A barred owl is getting intense rehabilitation after it was found on a New York highway. Rick Liegenhausen, a New York state trooper for Broome County, first spotted the injured animal and called all creatures great and small wildlife rehabilitation. He stayed by the owl's side until they arrived. Danny Wood shares what happened with the bird.
It seems a safe bet with the way this guy is acting. His balance is a little off. And when I checked his pupils, they weren't quite dilating the same. It looks to me like he very easily could have chased something, a snack or a meal, into the path of a car and bounced off and ended up with a concussion.
The small but feisty owl, now named Alberto, is getting fluids, pain meds, and much needed rest. It's also getting botflies picked off his body. In addition, Danny is force feeding the owl, keeping its energy up.
I know this is gross, but that's how it goes. And I got her a 6-pack of mice, and we're going to see how she does with feeding.
The owl is contained in a specific way to make recovery smoother.
We need her to not move around much so she won't fall over and injure herself worse. Plus, she gains comfort. Birds need to be upright as they heal. So she's leaning in the corner, helping her with her balance, helping her feel normal, helping her clear her head. She has some headroom. She's not mushed in there. She has room to turn around without ruffling her feathers, but she's got the safety and protection of a small space as her head clears.
Once the owl is better, Danny will release it back into the wild.
So, let the healing continue. Check back later.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Sinesh Dasnaika, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of horse-shaped lanterns lighting up Shanghai for Lunar New Year. Do share your feedback with us via email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on Other Than a News channel. Have a good night.